Welcome to CAGESIDE. I am Pat Gallen. We get to celebrate the restart of the UFC. 3 fight nights in 8 nights. Hey, we got sports. It's back. So I bring in pro MMA fighter Jamie Colleen and our esteemed producer Will Manzano. So guys, it's back. Jamie, I'll start with you. It was nice to finally have something to cheer about.
It was amazing to watch for me. You know, I've honestly I wasn't sure how the dynamic would be without there being a crowd and everything, but it didn't really have that much of an impact. I thought it was just as entertaining as watching a fight with, you know, the normal setting and the fans and everything. So it was exciting for me.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been one of the best weeks so far in a long time. stuff to look forward to, which is the biggest part of this whole thing. Just getting excited for these fights. Nothing crazy happened, which was good. Not much of the COVID talk, and some really good fights.
Yeah, there was just one participant found to have a positive test for COVID-19, so it was good that they got that out of the way. Everyone remained healthy throughout the week, and we got 3. I won't say great nights. It was just great to have the UFC back, but we got fights and we got something to cheer about from home. So let's start with the main event from Saturday, and that was Overeem Harris. And for those who haven't been paying attention to what Walt Harris has done in his career, he has recently gone through some family turmoil and the worst kind. Back in December, it was found that his stepdaughter was murdered. Now, Jamie, awful news. What do you think it was like for him to step back into the cage after having to deal with something as personal and as personally devastating as what he just went through?
Sure. I honestly, as a parent myself, I can't imagine, you know, having to endure something like that. The loss of a child to me would be unbearable. And I think Dana White said it best, that he was a winner long before he stepped in the cage, just for him showing up given the circumstances. And I agree with that 100%. But in terms of stepping back in the cage, I just find that, you know, for him to have the mental fortitude and the mental strength to just, like I said, muster up the strength to even just show up and get back in there, to me, like, he's a champion in my eyes. So, but yeah, again, I can't imagine. That had to have been extremely difficult.
Will, it looked like Harris kind of ran out of gas. He started so quick, put Overeem down on the mat in maybe 45 seconds. But, you know, the man has been through hell and back. And for him to show up the way he did and fight the way he did, despite losing to Overeem, I think it says volumes about his character.
It does. And I mean, this was a tough fight to kind of look at, because Harris is somebody who wasn't in the top 5. So the fact that he's headlining a card is a big deal to begin with. Overeem's been there. I think we all just really wanted to see Harris pull the win. You know, Overeem's a tough guy. He's been doing this since, the 90s? So it was an impressive fight for Harris. He started off doing everything he had to do. Technically, the fight could have been called at that moment. But, you know, he let Overeem get on his feet. And, you know, now you're letting somebody who with that experience come at you. Your gas tank better be ready, otherwise you're not going to make it. And that's what happened.
Yeah, now one of the better fights on Saturday, Edson Barboza and Dan Ige, and it goes back to the officiating and to the scoring. Did the right person win? Now, Jamie, you've been in situations, I'm sure, like this before, where maybe there was a little bit of a head scratcher, where you've seen something like this before. So take us through the mindset when you're done and you're waiting to hear who wins. Because throughout Saturday night, we kind of weren't sure who was supposed to win and who wasn't.
Sure. I mean, from my personal experience, I haven't necessarily experienced that. Like, my whole mentality is either kill or be killed. So and just like all fighters, we all try to end the fight. We want to get the big finish or the big submission. However, sometimes it goes to the judges. And I mean, especially if it's a close fight, and there's even times when, you know, you've won, your team has known you won, the crowd has known you won, and they still give it to the other person. So sometimes I don't quite understand The judges are, okay, are we watching the same fight here? Like, what's happening? But yeah, to be in that position, it's definitely, it's definitely nerve-wracking, because you just never know, like, how they're judging it. How are the judges seeing it? So they might not see it the same way you did. So, but that's why I always say, like, try not to leave it up to the judges.
So, Will, I know that you're kind of steaming over this a little bit. Take us through the Barboza-Ige fight, because I thought Barboza looked incredible through the first 2 rounds, yet Ige staged a nice comeback. He was the winner by split decision. How did you see it?
Well, so here's the thing. Barboza steps down from 155 to 145. He brought down his size with him. His striking is one of the best out there. So he really did do enough, in my eyes, to get the win. He did kind of what was expected. I don't know if I like this weight for him as much as I like 155, but regardless of who you're fighting in those 2 divisions, you're fighting killers. Though if they gave it 29-28, 28-29, 29-28. So that was, in my opinion, some of those rounds could have gone either way. And that's where you better not leave it up to the judges, because that's exactly what can happen.
And Jamie, what do you think about Barboza taking that step down? How difficult is it to do something like that, yet still remain on the top of your game?
Sure, it's definitely, it's definitely a big adjustment, but if you prepare well enough and your camp goes well, then, if you're ready to do something like that, you're ready. But, like Will said, you better, be on your A game when you do something like that, because they all are complete killers at that weight. I know Barbosa personally, and I know his work ethic. So for me, I felt, confident in him that he would win. I think he should have won. But, there again with the judges, you never know. So
is it strategic, Jamie, how a lot of these fighters say, well, at this weight, I'm not maybe up here with the top guys, the Khabibs, the McGregors, all these people in the 155. I'll go down. I'll be the bigger guy and I'll dominate that. We've seen other people do that, and that doesn't go so well. Barbosa's not huge, so I thought that was kind of a more realistic weight cut, but I don't know.
Sure.
It's a strategy, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% strategy, yes.
Well, let me ask you, Jamie, you kind of hinted at this earlier. No fans in the stands, and there won't be for most likely the foreseeable future. Do you think it mattered for us sitting at home watching? I didn't really feel like it did, but for the fighters, is that even something once you step into the octagon that you would even notice?
It really all depends. Like for me, when I'm in the cage, I'm fighting, you feel the crowd, but after a while you just sort of zone out, and you can hear your corner and you listen to them, and believe it or not, we feel pretty calm in there when it comes to that. But at the same time, as a fan and, watching, at first I was like, this is too weird, like watching them walk out and there's like nobody there. It was just very strange to see in the beginning. But honestly, watching, I was more exciting because I could hear everything. I could get I felt like I could just see the fight more clearly just by hearing everything that was going on. Like, it was, to me, very, very, very exciting. But the fighters, I think for them, it's just they're focused on the fight and focused on winning. So I don't know if that really plays much of a part for them.
Watching Saturday night, I kept on wondering, are the judges actually better in this situation because they can hear and focus and not get swayed by the crowd? Or
yeah, I thought the same thing.
Or is it worse actually? Because sometimes, paying attention and hearing the conversations within the octagon between the fighters. Like, I know, not to go back to the last week, but when Smith lost a tooth in the middle of the fight, and he started having a conversation with a guy who's choking him from behind. It's just an interesting thing, and I wonder if the judges hear that and say, "Oh no, he's okay. Let's keep on. Let's let him fight and not ask for the fight to be stopped." All these things, I think, have a lot to do with the audience.
Yes, and I also, real quick, wanted to touch on too, if maybe the judges could be influenced by hearing the corners as well. I would just sort of thought about that, but yeah, if that had any indication on their decisions as well.
Yeah, something that we probably should get used to, at least, like I said, for the foreseeable future. So up next, UFC Fight Night 176. there is no card out just yet. So guys, what do you think happens?
So much fun to look forward to.
Right.
We can all come up with all these like dream fights that they're working on behind the scenes. I mean, as far as I know, the only thing I think is almost a sure thing is Tyron Woodley coming back since his loss from Usman. It's been a while. He was a beast all until that moment, and we're all excited to see him get back in the cage. So I'm assuming that fight's gonna happen. Underneath him in the card, I don't know. I actually have no idea what Dana has in store for us.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. Will. It's really hard to say, but I can say that I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm honestly just super really excited that the UFC is back, and yeah, we have our sports, and just makes me very happy. So
Agreed.
Yeah, no one cares. It's live sports on television. We've been waiting so long for this to happen. It's like, throw whoever out there. We don't care.
Yeah,
It's
right.
fine.
Exactly.
They're the judges against.
All right,
each
guys,
other, right?
that's it. That's it for the latest Cage Side. We appreciate you watching. For Jamie Colleen and Will Manzano, I am Pat Gallen. We will see you next time.